Hey, Cannapreneurs. Before we get started with today's show, I just want to mention one of our sponsors. Today, I want to highlight Dairy Berry's Recording Studio. Located in Arvada, Colorado, is your local recording studio with affordable rates, well experienced, and will make your music, your show, or any audio you have sound great. Thanks again to all of our sponsors. Now on to the show. Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Grind and Burn, a podcast from the Cannabis Community Project. I am Brainstorm, once again bringing you your weekly podcast about the business side of cannabis while living the lifestyle. Oh, it's getting hot in here. Woo! Cannapreneurs, are you beating the heat this summer? Man, it is hot here in Colorado. It has been hitting 90 plus days, and this is dry heat. Oh, I don't know what to do. There's no place to go anymore where you can have a nice, even keel temperature. Global warming, climate change, it is upon us, and I'm melting. So what are you doing to stay cool this summer? Not to be cool, to stay cool. Let me know. Give us some tips right on my Facebook page and help me out, because I'm one of those guys who, if my core body temperature goes a half degree up, I'm in extreme agony and I'm sweating. So share on the Facebook page, Cannabis Community Project, your tips for staying cool this summer. Hey, speaking of things that are cool, how many of you came to last month's First Friday event? Hosted by the Healthy Heady Lifestyle and Heady Becca, putting together the First Friday events down on Santa Fe here in Denver. For those of you that don't know what it is, here in Denver we have a art district on Santa Fe Drive, which is about 6-10 some blocks of art galleries and unique lofts and kind of the cool hipster part of town. And every first Friday of every month, they open the block, they let people basically do a mini bourbon street where you can walk up and down drinking your bottles of booze and exploring the art galleries. Well, right off of 7th and Santa Fe there, the Healthy Heady Lifestyle puts on a First Friday event, and it is getting bigger, it is getting cooler, and I'm telling you about it because we're in the middle of the month. So if you want to attend next month's First Friday event, jump on the Facebook page of Heady Becca from Healthy Heady Lifestyle and get enrolled, because these are private events, so you do need to be registered. But we have open dab bars, open vape bars, open flower bars on the outside patio. We have a little bit of booze being served and a lot of great food being catered in, body painting, photos, live DJ music. Everything is really put together in a nice, cozy little package for all you little cannapreneurs to come on down and enjoy yourselves with us every First Friday. So there's a reason why I'm telling you about the First Friday events, because Heady Becca and I are joining forces to create another event promotional business, create a unique VIP cannabis experience. B-Trip Enterprises is her new company that I'm going to be part of, and we're going to be thinking of not just cannabis events, but a VIP style cannabis events. That's right, one that's not free or just a $10 entry to come in, one that costs a penny, but you get a buck of value out of it. And we're going to put these events together all around Denver. We're going to start actually next month. So if you want to learn more, contact me, brainstorm at cannabiscommunityproject.com, because we are always looking for participants, volunteers, sponsors, and anybody who just wants to be part of the community. You know, I have so much fun getting involved in businesses and putting stuff together. It's always just something that comes very naturally. And I don't say naturally like I was born, like most are playing music. I mean naturally because I've been doing it for so many years. My mindset is just there. I am always looking to form the business, to develop the business, to market the business, to put things together. So when I meet with somebody who's first starting out, it's fairly easy for me to quickly evaluate what stage they're in, where they're at, monitor if they're actually going anywhere. And I've put together just a quick little note for you all because every week I want to try to bring some type of information forward that you can ponder on for the week, think about, and try to implement into your own businesses. So this week I came up with my quick start biz checklist, which is a short checklist of how I think about somebody in a startup phase and where they're at and actually how serious they are about things. So when you're meeting with somebody who says they're going to start a business, ask them these questions. Or if you are going to start a business, ask yourself these questions and just do a quick checklist. Where are you in the startup stage? All right, here we go. You ready? So the first thing I ask people is, do you have a name for your business? Most people kind of do. And then I ask, is that name registered? Either as a trade name or as a business, like a sole proprietor or an LLC or some type of entity with the state. And you do that by going to the Secretary of State in any state to register your business. In most states, I would say $50 and under to register in some form of entity and really get that name in the system so you can show yourself as a registered business, even if you haven't started doing business yet. This is very important, is to not get in the mind frame of, I will do this when I do this. I always recommend people being in the mind frame of, if you think of it and it needs to be done, do it now. There is no, I'll wait to do this once I do that. That's in a whole different strategy of long-term implementation of a business and a strategy. I'm talking about fundamentals of getting up and started in a business. So if you're talking to a wannabe entrepreneur and they're giving you a lot of, yeah, I'll do that once I do this, or once I do this, I'll do that, you know you're talking to a wannabe. A fake. I recommend calling them out on them because the more you let people talk and nobody stops them, the more the world becomes more accepting of those type of people. And then the whole level of entrepreneurship gets sunk to a new low. So if you hear somebody talking shit, call them on it. When somebody says, hey man, I'm going to start a business, immediately fire back. Really? What is it? What's the name? Oh, that's the name? Is it registered yet with the state of Colorado? What are you, an LLC, a sole proprietor? Can I look it up on my phone right now and find the domain name at your business name? No. I didn't say at WordPress.com/your business name or some other site subdomain / your business name. Did you actually put out the effort to put $15 out there and get a domain name? Do you have an email that reflects your business? Did you get an EIN number, an employer identification number, which is like a social security number for a business? So what does that mean? It means you go to buy a car for a business. You're not going to give them your name and your social security number. You're going to give them the business name and the business social security number, the EIN number. So your business starts to create a credit report, a credit account, a credit score. Your business has its own reputation. In that sense, it is kind of like a person, not to quote Mitt Romney, but it is like a person in the sense of documentation exists of its own entity that is not specifically tied to Mr. Smith or Mr. Lorenzo, its own entity. And this is an important aspect, especially in this field of cannapreneurism, because many of you out there are starting businesses in this industry who don't come from business backgrounds. And maybe you're coming from a little shadier side of life, right? Maybe you have horrible credit. Maybe you were incarcerated. Maybe you've been working minimum wage fast food your whole life. Maybe your insurance sucks. Maybe you have parking tickets up the wazoo. Maybe nothing about your personal name and identity has any credibility, but now you can release yourself from that and start over in a formed entity that's protected by the state. It's called an LLC or a sole proprietorship LLC or some other form of business entity that you could start. I always recommend if you're starting out as a startup, handful of people or less, you're going to do sole proprietor or an LLC. But talk to your lawyer about that, all right? I'm not a lawyer. I'm here to give you the push in the right direction of how to become an actual entrepreneur in cannabis. So do you have a name yet? As I've been talking right now, did you register your name in the last 5 minutes since I've been talking? Did you go online to the state of Colorado and do it? Did you get your domain name secured? Did you get the email name secured? Did you get the EIN from the IRS secured? That's a separate process that you do from your individual state registration, right? The IRS is a federal system. Did you get your bank account set up? Well, the only way you're going to get a business bank account is if you have a state registration and an IRS EIN number, a bank business account. That means you can get a bank credit card under your business name. You can get bank loans. You can accept checks and payments in the name of your business, and you can pay people in the name of your business. Exciting stuff, right? Do you have a business card? When somebody approaches you and says, what do you do? Hey, that sounds cool. Can I get your information? Do you have a business card? Now, I say this, but you would be surprised how many people don't have a simple $10 box of 500 Vistaprint.com card with their name, email, and company name on it. Yeah, that's how easy these things are. Like I said, state registration, $50 or less. Domain name, $15 or less. Email, free or up to $5, $10, $20 a year. EIN number, free. Business bank account, free except for whatever minimal deposit you need to make to open that account. In my case, I opened it with a credit union, did not have to open it with any amount of money. Business card. Have you gone to Vista.print and paid $10 for a pinching business card? Do you have a logo? Did you at least try to design a logo of something unique that identifies you as a business? Do you have a POS, a point of sale? Do you have some type of process set up with something to sell so when you tell people what you do, people have a way to give you money for it? Do you have a network distribution, like an email list, social media accounts? Do you do group events and participate in networking events? Do you host events and parties on your own to establish that distribution and that network? In my case, an audience. But every business has an audience. Some people just call them customers. Others call them networks. Others call them whatever you call them. The point is, these are the essential fundamentals that build an infrastructure of a startup business that everyone can do, literally on pennies and dollars. But it establishes such a credibility with who you are that there's no excuse to say you're anything but in business, even before you've made your first sale. Sales are the most important thing in a business, but when you're getting started, you can't just think about how great your idea is and how much people are going to buy it from you once you get it produced, once you get it manufactured and pumped out some prototypes that people are just going to come in and start giving you money. You have to actually take the time, the energy, and the effort to establish your local infrastructure of your business, because your business at this stage is just an extension of you. And hopefully you are a strong representative of the cannabis industry. Bang! Grind and burn, cannapreneurs. Grind and burn. I want to hear about your business. I want to hear about the path you took. I have a blog, Cannabis Community News, and I want your story of how you got started in this business. I want your story of what you did to build that infrastructure, to get those first sales going, to actually call yourself a self-employed individual. Contact me. Brainstorm at cannabiscommunityproject.com or from the website or any other social media. I want to hear from you. I want to get your story on this show. I want to get it on the blog. I want other people to be inspired by you. But until we get to that point, let's make sure to quickly jump back to last week's episode, our short-term memory flashback relapse, so we don't forget week to week what we learn about. Did you hear about the transparency marketing theory that I was exploring in last week's episode? Take a listen. Tell me what you think. It may even connect to this week's conversation. Here we go. Bringing you a short, condensed, just the bare essentials, right? The basics this week. It is summertime, so, living ain't easy. That's what's keeping me occupied this summer. I'm meeting with a few people, and I'm looking to bring a handful of new podcasts, cannabis-related, of course, to the Cannabis Community Project. I want to, of course, keep doing this show. The Grind and Burn will continue. It'll be my show. But I have a couple other hosts that I'm talking to. I'm looking at producing. Have you ever thought about doing a podcast? Now's the time. It's getting hot. It's heating up. And who better to have produce your podcast than your very own Brainstorm? We will brainstorm. We will make sure your show is what you want it to be, and it is the best it can be, so it makes money, and maybe it will become your living too. I'm telling you all this as part of my philosophy of broadcasting, of media production when it comes to quasi-journalist, quasi-entertainment type stuff. It's my belief in the movement of transparency marketing. Who are you? Who am I? What's going on in the quote-unquote real world versus what's going on in front of the produced world, what you see, right? But they're actually showing you, here's what's going on in the grow room. So they're giving you that inside look, that transparency to what they're doing and how they're doing things, the secret sauce, right? But at the same time, it's serving a marketing purpose. It's building a brand and a relationship with your audience, and you're becoming known not just on the surface of what you're showing people, but you're becoming known as people, right? People get to know you, and they're like, hey, here's the grower. I saw him on YouTube. Here's the owner, and here's the bud tender, and here's how they grow their seed. Here's where, hey, there's Dan, the seed guy. And transparency marketing. Let's think about that this summer as we're seeing the ads and people start rolling out their genius creative marketing, right? Having girls running around in bikinis and shake their buds to get people into your dispensary. Think about what people are doing to advertise, promote, market, and sell themselves. Yes, those are all different functions. And think about where transparency plays in that and how simply an outlook of transparency marketing would actually create a better bond than what people are doing now. Let's make you part of the inside conversation. That's all I want to tell you this week. After a very great 4th of July weekend I had out of town with family visiting, it really just makes you want to slow down for a second and just have a great conversation. How long have you been listening to the show? Long enough to know that it's your show, and all you got to do to be on it is just reach out to us at cannabiscommunityproject.com or email brainstorm at cannabiscommunityproject.com. Cushly organic products. It eliminates odor. And it's organic and it's non-toxic. I use it myself, and many of my close friends and family use it. www.cushly.com.
The 6 degrees of Cushly. Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, interesting.
Nice. Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, totally.
And there's a jazz festival down at 5 Points.
Jazz.
They're
The annoying kind of jazz or the cool kind of jazz?
I don't know. I figured we could go over there.
See, the cool kind of jazz is the kind where there's like a consistent rhythm and it's kind of a cross between a blues and kind of rock song.
Soulful.
The annoying kind of jazz is the improvised shit where they just go off in left field whenever they want and they try to pretend like it's controlled improvisation or whatever, and it's just horns blaring in your ear and people doing crazy. That's the annoying stuff, boys.
Good news!
Hey, how we doing? Jay Griffin here. Jay, welcome to Dank and DCG, your cannabis solution. This is Jay Griffin with Dank. Thanks for listening. I'm also here to represent Denver Consulting Group, your cannabis solution expert. We do have quite a variety of shatter, wax, and concentrates on the shelf. The product that is on special is the Dank product that we send our trim and sometimes whole nug run to the extraction facility. We've been using Happy Camper out of Bailey for our concentrates and really happy with the product. Testing as high as 90% and more.
Who's doing the chroma extraction?
Chroma is Evo Lab.
And explain real quick the chroma, because this is what I consume on a weekly basis, so I want other people to know about it. Explain what chroma is, what the extraction is. You have 2 different varieties. I've been telling people about this honey-like substance that I've been smoking. It's hard to distinguish what it is in relation to a wax or a shatter or an oil. So, chroma, is it your invention? Is it your grow? Is it just the extraction? How did you come about this?
I too have been smoking that, and I really like it, especially in the syringe form, because I just fill up the cartridge and off I go. Instead of of buying cartridge and cartridge. I just use the syringe and doing it in a vape pen.
Okay, so you're putting it in like a O-pen style pen, where what I'm doing is I'm dipping it and dabbing it on a little rig. It works both ways. It's interchangeable in that sense, because not all oils are. You can't dab on oils. Chroma is essentially just a pure extract, right, of straight THC for the most part, and because of the way it's extracted, it comes out honey syrupy type. It's pretty potent. I think the box says 94.6% THC, and I think that's broken down 74 THC and 16 something THCA. But I recommend it because I want to promote that, because that's what I smoke, and I want to tell everybody what I'm smoking. Although I do other waxes too, but Evo Lab. You have ownership in that, or they're
they're a vendor.
Are you doing your own extraction from your own grow though?
We have a product that we'll send out to different vendors depending on how quickly they can turn it around, or maybe what that price point is. So we have about 5 different concentrate vendors that we work with.
That's just my personal question. Nothing I'm going to put on the air.
More on that next week. Tune in for the next episode of Dank Keeping Kind.
So let it fly. Go ahead.
What? There's nothing to let fly.
To record.
Oh no, we need to come record and hang out with you and make some music.
Yeah. Go ahead
What?
and make the music.
He's not here.
No, but
Just let it out. Let it. I'm a fictional stoner.
Fictional stoner.
Yeah.
Keep going with it. Fictional stoner.
No, functional.
Functional.
That's the word.
Go ahead.
I'm a functional stoner.
Functional, fictional.
I've got time left to work. I am not a blubber, getting down on my worth. I'm a functional stoner. I don't know. Just to put me on the spot.
I'm in the mood, my time is now. Man, fuck these rules, they try to dumb us down. Known in the town, they been aiming at my crown. They still in the jacket, my swagger protecting my image. We thought I was finished. I'm in the mood, our time is now. Man, fuck these rules, they try to dumb us down. Known in the town, they been aiming at my crown.
Still in the jacket, the swagger protecting my image. We thought I was finished.
I'm talking my shit, I'm feeling the lick. I have been lit this whole week. After the session, let's smoke some more weed. I body these geeks, no I deserve their own. That shit is so weak. Where music got people up on their feet, gave their name value and a reason to speak. She my gamer girl, that's my gamer girl. That shit is weak. People working for you with no pay or minimum wage. These boys fake as fuck, that's cosplay.
Do it in your cosplay.
Haven't heard a banger from you in forever, ever. Hit me for the remix, we can make it better. Don't stutter. Hop the features for artists that won't see sunlight. Things that make us wonder. This is what it feels like when you're rustling. Scratch at your soul, devour and conquer the power of hunger. Build an abundance where music's alive. Who's feeling some way? Look at your shoes, make sure they're tied. I'm in the mood, my time is now. Man, fuck these rules, they try to dumb us down. Known in the town, they been aiming at my crown. They still in the jacket, my swagger protecting my image. Who thought I was finished? I'm in the mood, our time is now. Man, these rules, they try to dumb us down. Known in the town, they been aiming at my crown.
Still in the jacket, the swagger protecting my image. We thought I was finished.
All right, let's do an update. So the Dank Update Insider.
I want to talk about the ganja yoga.
Okay, let's do
Yes,
that. What's the
primarily.
update on that? What do you got?
Yeah, we're proud to announce that Dank and Denver Consulting Group and Twisted Sister Yoga are all combining to offer weekly yoga classes called Ganja Yoga at Twisted. Ganja Yoga is going to be located at 4821 38th Avenue. That's East 38th Avenue, Unit B, in Denver, 80207. So that's right nearby Dank, just half block away, but it's off premises. So that allows us to do some private invite-only events that are ticketed and consumption-friendly. So it's going to be Bring Your Own Cannabis event, BYOC.
So that's a great lead into that. So the new yoga studio is at the new location that's finishing the remodel.
Well, we have a lot of hopes to continue the process, which would include a real nice outdoor patio, which would then link over to the Dank building. So it's close enough where it's separated by some space that will one day have a real nice outdoor patio. But the event group is linked to the Denver Consulting Group. It's in the same building, and I want to call it probably 90% complete. Last night was our first event, which hosted the Women Grow of Denver, and they were doing a very active session and hosted the National Hemp Association and the Colorado Hemp Association, as well as a number of great vendors talking and representing the hemp industry. It was phenomenal. There was 130 people there, great food, great drinks. In fact, I've been drinking this CBD-infused coffee all morning. It's incredible.
Is that from Canaway?
No, that was Canatech, I think. There was so many vendors there. It was exciting to talk to all these people. And, of course, the industrial hemp industry is growing at an enormous rate here in Colorado. And the industrial hemp revolution is what they're saying is going to save the world.
Well, I like the idea of a bridge connecting the two, of where one crosses the bridge, right? Metaphorically and literally, onto the premise. So this spot is ready for rental now. It's ready for private events to be rented out for mostly cannabis-related type events, we would assume, but not exclusively, right? It could be anybody that's just looking for a space.
Correct. There's a number of space. It seems like a lot of the nonprofits out there are looking for different spaces. This is a space that will comfortably hold about 130, and that's standing and seating areas. I would call it a small to mid-size event space, consumption friendly, and it is going to be run through the Denver Consulting Group. So if you're ever looking for it, that's where you're going to find information on it, is www.denverconsultinggroup.com. You'll see the calendar of events in there, and it'll show what we currently have on the schedule. It includes a number of Women Grow events, lunch and learns, as well as Denver Consulting Group training classes.
Nice. Do you have an actual name yet of what the facility will be, or is it just going to be an extension, an annex of the Denver Consulting Group?
Twisted.
So.
At Denver Consulting Group. 4821 East 38th Avenue, Unit B.
All right.
Yeah, well, so we are really excited about offering the Ganja Yoga. So we just finished the Ganja Yoga retreat last month, which was a huge success, and as many as 65 yogis from across the nation came to Colorado to experience what true freedom feels like. And based on the reactions of so many people from New York and Canada and North Carolina and St. Louis, these people came to Colorado and felt more free than they've ever felt in their life. And by that, I mean, we didn't have to look over our shoulder. We were on a private ranch. You don't have to hide in the room to burn a joint and then go out into public and mingle with people, like-minded people. So everywhere we went, there was people smoking joints and bowls, and it was quite a great time as far as the workshops that were being offered, finding your life's passion and following your dreams, as well as we did a Vedic reading, astrology readings, and those are incredible. So the team of yogis really did a great job in guiding us, and it all came to a peak during the Ganjika ceremony. The Ganjika ceremony is an ancient Hindu and Sanskrit written text and chant to cannabis. So through about an hour-long ceremony, a puja, the yogi guided us through these chants. Meanwhile, we passed a ceremonial pipe between all 60 of us while chanting. She was accepting offerings in the puja, which is burning ceremonial blessing to Shiva. And it was just incredible, and everybody had such a great time. That was a big success. In fact, there's now another one scheduled for September 23rd. It's peak of fall colors, same ranch. There's a lot of cabin space available, as well as additional and limitless tent camping. So that allows us to make it as big as we want. Now, that said, 65 tends to be a real good sweet spot because that's the size of the main lodge. But there's lots to do over this 3-day weekend, including horseback riding, trail hiking. There's some goats, so you can pet the baby goats, or just sit by the river and really get some time with yourself to go inward, because that's what yoga is all about. And combining that with cannabis allows you to go inward without judgment and open your heart.
Wow, that's cool. Spring and fall, those are a good time to have two yearly retreats. And that's the type of yoga that throughout the year they can study every Thursday at Twisted, get prepared for the big retreats. And do you have to be somebody who already knows about yoga to join these classes, or is this a walk-in type, anybody, any level?
Well, we do sell tickets for the event online. It's on Eventbrite, so you do have to pre-register to make sure that you have a ticket, so no walk-ins will be accepted. And as far as the level of the class, it is offered for all levels. And what that means is that your instructor will start at a basic level, and if you have the knowledge and the ability, then you can level up on your own. But Shelly from Twisted Sister Yoga does a real slow flow, holding poses, longer lengths, does wonders for your muscle tone and your inner core balance. Also, there's some incorporation of meditation, so I believe there'll be some 10-minute meditation at the end of class today. Yeah, twistedsister.yoga. Check it out.
Twistedsister.yoga. And if somebody wants to come to a Thursday night class, should they just go to the location, or should they first jump online and do the Facebook page? What?
Yeah, if you want to check out Ganja Yoga, the best thing to do is check out twistedsister.yoga. You can buy tickets on Eventbrite and follow the link on her website.
Nice. What else we got for this month's update? Anything else happening at Dank that we should know about?
Well, this month, our strain of the month is Sour Diesel. So Sour Diesel is an East Coast favorite. People come in just for the Sour Diesel. It's my jam as well. It's potent. It's over 20%. It's a real heady, active sativa.
Nice.
Check it out all month.
What's the procedure for choosing the strain of the month? Is it throwing darts at a board?
Well, we want to make sure that we have that strain available for that month. So we look for strains that we're going to have particularly beneficial or productive harvest, so we make sure that special's available. Other than that, we do want to just kind of start profiling, and we're profiling all of our different strains. One day we'll have the whole strain profile, and we're developing a deck of cards, so ultimately that's the goal.
Nice. Cool. What else? We want to talk about doing some remodeling, updating some security systems, making sure Dank is at the top of the security and safety as far as medical recreational dispensaries go. There's been some issues around Denver and probably the whole state with some safety and security issues.
Mm-hmm. There sure has been. There has been increased incidents of break-ins, particularly at night. They range from any time after 10 in the early hours of the morning. So people are trying to look for opportunities to get in facilities, but most facilities have very rigorous system of video surveillance. We are required by law to have 100% coverage in our facilities, and we are required to have records maintained on site for 40 days. And so with that and, really barricading and making sure your perimeter is secure, we've done a pretty good job over the years of maintaining security, but it seems the thieves are getting more and more advanced with their techniques. I understand some people are getting through roofs now, as well as looking for any opportunity or, soft or vulnerable spot around the building. So it's something that I think is always going to evolve here in Colorado, because we started with fewer regulations on that end. Now, if you look at other states, Philadelphia, Maryland, these East Coast states, New York, they have very, very, very high and rigorous security standards. It's not like shopping here in Colorado. Out there, you'll have a transition room where you'll be buzzed in on 2 different doors so that you could potentially be trapped in there if you were causing a problem. 24-hour video surveillance and 24-hour monitored security guards. So I think out of the block, it's going to be challenging for those groups because there's a lot more cost. But in the long run, that's where everything is heading. Frankly, around here in Colorado, you want to be proactive, but let's face it, if it's not required, then it's hard to spend the extra money on those those things. So in generally out here in Colorado, I think everybody kind of builds their security system as they go, and as they run into problems, it gets more and more secure.
It's kind of three issues. There's the on-duty type of robbery per se, more of an aggressive. There's the after-hours break-in. And then there's the information itself of potential people's personal information and medical records. So there's definitely different aspects of security to look at. There's a fine line because some dispensaries you walk in and you'll find the gated bars, the double rooms, the buzzers, the very much feeling like you're walking into some type of quasi-prison system. And then you have other dispensaries that are very open and very welcoming and very store-like. And there's a fine line between how you actually want to run your business, right? Because you don't necessarily want to just have bars and gates and buzzers. That doesn't create a very friendly business environment either. How do you determine that line without moving too far to one or too far away from the other?
Well, you bring up an interesting point for sure, because it is that atmosphere that you want to protect. Having to buy bud from somebody with a cop standing right there watching is very uncomfortable for even Coloradans. So you do want to be careful with that. And if you're a security guard, you have to be trained and licensed and in security measures. So most places really just have receptionists, right? They're just greeters. Yeah, I think we're going to see more and more cases of some more armed guards at facilities. It's unfortunate, but until things settle down, that might be warranted.
Well, at least you're staying on top of it, right? Because that's all you can do when you have a business is try to protect it as much as you can, make your customers feel safe, hopefully keep yourself safe at the same time. I guess kudos on that one. Cool. So anything else for this month that we should know about?
We'll be finishing up the summer strong, and as we go into the end of August and approaching Labor Day, and that's one of the biggest shopping weeks of the year, we got huge specials for fish fans coming into town. The boys are back. We've been having fun. There's been a lot of events out at Red Rocks that we get a lot of traffic through Dank, and for bigger shows, we offer specials for ticket holders and run a lot of promos that are down here. The O-Pen group is down here with their photo van, where you can instantly get hilarious photos of you in this microbus.
Where is the communication with the Dank members on this?
That was last Friday. It was parked right there.
2 weeks ago, I forget his name, hit me up to be a member here at Dank. You realize I wasn't actually a member. So I did it, right? But now where is the direct communication of the email saying, hey, members, this is what we going on. As being a member, here's the discounts for the concert tickets, or here's what's happening Friday, or here's the...
That is totally available to you. It is available, and please sign up for that outreach plan. It's called Chime. Yeah, we have it at... C-H-I-M-E, Chime. And it is a rewards-based program. It's really great.
But you're not automatically enrolled upon becoming a member.
Correct.
I have to do it myself.
Correct.
Okay. So that was not made.
Yes.
Cleared.
In fact, you don't have to be a member to be a Chime program either. You're just getting updates by text. But
that's an updating type service. But is there a specific membership benefit? As you're saying, if there's a Dank sponsored concert, is there tickets there? If there's a Dank sponsored event, is there reduced pricing on entry? Something along those lines?
Well, thank you for asking, because our membership plan is incredible. As you now know, it's the Dank 2020 plan. So all our members get 20% off all list pricing. That's their member pricing. So that means 20% off concentrates, edibles, paraphernalia, as well as flour. Also, we offer our members one $20 quarter each month. And that gives them a real good start to the month. A lot of people come in on payday, throw down $20, walk out with a quarter, mixed matched, and they're off they go. So those numbers that we need in the medical shop, we grow for about 120 people, and we are able to grow 6 plants per person, and that keeps us going on the medical side.
Is there any incentive really left for the dispensary to hang on to a medical program?
Certainly, since it's a bit unstable federally still, we see it as a benefit of holding on to that medical program, because if some turmoil or some stoppage were to occur from Washington, D.C., it would probably be recreationally geared, shut the recreational side down, and then the medical programs would be able to continue to exist.
So they're state-sponsored, the medical programs, whereas recreational recreational is just kind of floating in this gray land of not really written into the Constitution like a medical program, but at the same time, it's kind of just out there.
I mean, let's face it, though, at this point, it's so far, it'd be so hard to reverse. Nobody in the industry really talks about it ever being reversed. I don't feel like that will happen. So your question remains, how viable is a medical program? Well, in these other states that are just getting legalization measures, they are just now starting their medical program. So they're where we were in 2009, and they're just getting going with medical. That means they're still not experiencing true freedom, and the success of the programs in those states are directly related to how many conditions are on the approved list. And so if chronic pain, which is the number one condition in Colorado, if chronic pain is not on an approved condition list for a state, it's nearly destined for failure. There's things that like PTSD that are not even on some of the state programs. But, the refreshing news is that it is spreading and it is continuing to gain acceptance nationwide. More and more conditions are being recognized as beneficial. And we're just talking about the cannabis side of it and the medicinal side of it. But there's great potential with the CBDs as well as industrial hemp. So this whole family, this whole tribe is in it together. Not only the smokable cannabis fans, but people that want to change the world. If you want to change the world, you need to stop using plastic. And you can stop using plastic by encouraging industrial hemp products instead of plastic products. I just learned last night that 50% of the oil extracted is used in plastics, not for fuel. It's used in plastics. And hemp products make a stronger, longer lasting product. This plant has been discriminated against for a long time now, and it's time that stops. And Colorado is receiving a lot of eyes on in the nation and across the world, because not only are we recreationally legal for smoking cannabis, but with that also got passed great laws to allow us to grow our own, and as well as provide industrial hemp, as well as growing large acres of outdoor crops.
Yeah, that's a great argument for hemp and the business and even recreational. It just, to me, it looks like medical has maybe a short run left in it because the state doesn't make a lot of money from it. There's not a lot of taxes collected from medical. It's becoming more and more difficult to be a patient. There's a lot of paperwork involved. And ultimately on a dispensary, I'm guessing here, you probably don't make as much money from a profit margin standpoint as you do on the medical side versus the recreational side. So I'm looking at just what's the incentive for the dispensary to keep it going? What's the incentive for the state to really care if the medical program keeps going? Because if all the medical patients disappear and are forced into the recreational market, isn't that just more money for the state and more money for the dispensary doing recreational pricing? So I'm looking at is who really has the incentive to keep this program going but the patients, and the patients is kind of an unrepresented group per se, at least from an industry standpoint. So I see it as a short, talking 5 years or so, but I don't see it lasting that long because of those reasons of just incentives.
We here at Dank have a huge commitment to our customer base, and that's our members. We're dedicated to those members, and we show that by being open every day of the year so that they can get access. And that's part of our commitment, is providing that access. But yeah, the medical program, it is something that, we've even considered reducing in the past for about a second. They're managed in different systems. And so the medical program, because it was out earlier than the recreational program, has different set of rules. And those are undergoing some changes that just got enacted. And we feel like there's going to be some real challenges in the medical grow community in passing contaminants tests. Now, the medical requirement is such that you're going to be required to show your cannabinoid profile on the label, just like we do in recreational side. So those tests of contaminants and potency are now required on the medical side, which they haven't been all along. So that's new and improved, but it also costs the grower and the store more money.
And don't brush over that so quick, because a lot of people don't actually know that. People think it's the reverse. People think it's the medical side that's being regulated through testing, when it's actually the recreational side. The state doesn't require that same testing for medical as they do rec, correct?
Correct. In fact, out of the box, it was written that way, and recreational was almost like an improvement of the medical program. They took those regulations and made them more safe for the public and protect the children from exposure to potentially dangerous products. And that's why that came out of that. Now, in these other states that are just going medical, well, they'll start with this higher standard of testing in place already.
This is a big issue, especially with all the hoopla last year with the mold and the contaminants and everything else. So we'll see what happens, especially with chemicals. Who gets approved, which chemicals get approved, and which pesticides, and the whole deal will probably cause even more expense on the industry. Again, posing the same question, what's the incentive to keep a less profitable program going in the long run?
Well, and we know that prices have come down significantly over the years in the medical side, and we're seeing $20 eighths, $25 eighths on our house shelf, $20 specials periodically. So I think it is really challenging when you start to factor in the cost of production, the cost of packaging, labeling, and now dealing with your security level and multiple break-ins. You have to know that there's a lot that goes into selecting that price of that product, and it's not one guy in his basement growing 6 plants and has no problems. They're on a production grow facility. We have to accommodate for all variables that occur. We were without power in one random Sunday a couple weeks ago just because of a storm blew our power pole down. So when on July 3rd you're calling an electrician to come out who has been at his barbecue all day, well, he showed up at 8:30 and had to stay here till 1:30 in the morning working on electrical on July 3rd. Well, that's just half the battle. July 4th rolls around, you have to have Excel down here to finish the work and get power. We're talking about the livelihood of our entire organization, these people that work here, and here it is a holiday, and we have to pay all these guys, these independent contractors that come down here. So that all gets factored into those prices. It's not just pick it and pluck it and smoke it. It's a whole building.
Yeah, good and bad. I mean, for every bad, somebody's getting a job out of it, right? You have break-ins, now all of a sudden a security company has a new client. You have electrical problems, now all of a sudden a generator gets sold. There's good and bad, and I guess the
stimulus,
right, of trying to be always on one side or the other of it, trying to hedge your bets, right?
Cannabis, it's the great unifier.
So what does that mean? You have to diversify out of selling plant as the main source of revenue and start doing things like the rental of the space and maybe merchandise and more event-related things. How do you diversify that security and revenue?
Well, I think we create quite a buzz with the ancillary businesses. The consulting group is really helpful in helping clients across the nation and getting their applications submitted and their facilities constructed and their staff trained. It's not a huge moneymaker. Dank is the grow and the store, and that's where our bread and butter is. That's where our focus is. And through the success of Dank is where the success of these other operations are going to happen.
So everything still has to be based off of selling flower or a derivative of flower, concentrate or something. Still comes down, got to sell THC in one form or another to actually make the money. The other stuff will help supplement the income and the revenue streams.
That's right.
Very good. Well, I think that's a good piece of information to think about and consider, especially since you're offering these great discounts coming up.
Yeah, Labor Day specials will be doing 20% off for fish tickets.
So take that in consideration when you're paying that 20% off.
Yeah.
That's all that stuff comes with it, because security and safety is not just about being robbed. It's also about what you're smoking. And all of those things require cost of overhead of either paying for tests to be done or paying for better chemicals that are less harmful, paying for better space that's more controlled, better quality workers. The whole deal comes with a cost. And that's really what people should consider. Although it can't be a surprise that prices are dropping and probably will continue to drop as it is a commodity, right? And I think for a couple years, even the state has been urging that to happen, that they wanted to see prices drop. They wanted to kind of push towards that level. So there's a real conflict here is how do we maintain a business while up against a commodity that will have a reduced price over time and probably continue to reduce.
Some of these incredible facilities are being built too around the state. Pueblo, Trinidad, Salida, outside the city of Denver, people are constructing massive grow facilities with the most cutting edge technology and are looking like commercial pharmaceutical plants. And it's very exciting, but at the same time, they're growing in such quantity that prices are going to start coming down as far as wholesale pricing. But when you grow at a scale like that, the plant is not as happy as being hand tended to. It seems like there's a relationship that occurs with the grower and throughout its life cycle that makes production and scaling up difficult in some cases.
A loss of quality, quite possibly. It'll be the Walmart effect. Is it may get cheaper, but you might be drinking 3-2 beer, tastes like piss water. Just because it gets cheaper doesn't mean it's going to maintain quality in that sense. So I think that will also be the arisal of maybe boutique dispensaries, right? Is there'll be those who go for the masses, and then there'll be those who survive by shunning the masses and going for, their base of 500 clients that come in on a weekly basis and spend X amount of dollars and kind of keep that going. There'll definitely be decisions to be made in the future. So I don't envy your job, but I definitely enjoy watching it develop, because watching it develop firsthand is very exciting, especially to see how you navigate these decisions. The last thing I wanted to ask you about was the announcement of Microsoft entering the seed-to-sale software business. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I heard about that. I haven't investigated it too much.
So you're a consulting group, which means you probably deal heavily with various companies now that are in seed-to-sale software?
Yeah, so we've used a number of them over the years, and on the consulting side, we do have to know a little bit about all the different point-of-sale softwares. In Colorado, the state has mandated a seed-to-sale tracking system called Metric, and Metric was not quite seed-to-sale. It was seed till almost sale, but then they allowed the store to use independent third-party point-of-sale software. So that point-of-sale software has to link to Metric. Metric doesn't have a point-of-sale widget.
Right.
It just has the inventory tracking. That allows people to use different point-of-sale. Yeah. So it kept the monopoly out of the scenario.
They didn't create their own API interface, which allowed the dependency for third-party interfaces to exist, so people could actually interact with the system in a somewhat functional way and have it be done. Who's the big one?
Well, there's a number of different ones out there.
I interviewed one a long time ago. Amy from MJ Freeway.
MJ Freeway, yeah. Amy's with MJ Freeway. There's BioTrack. There's MMJ Menu. We here at Dank use a new one out of the Northwest called GreenBits. GreenBits is a very easy tablet-based point-of-sale software that is linked with the metric system so that at the end of each business day, you're not downloading sales and uploading sales like some of the other software.
It's live streaming.
GreenBits is live streaming, so every eighth that's sold is subtracted from the inventory immediately, so you have a constant, accurate inventory at all times.
That's how I heard Walmart with the radio frequency tags. Is exactly how it happens. As soon as you purchase something from a Walmart store, it instantly goes into the centralized database to reorder and restock. The whole logistics system is just, everything's instant, and that's how they maintain low inventory, because they instantly know when a purchase has been made, so there's no reason to stock inventory. And their whole game is low inventory, instant replacement, and that's how they keep their margins and their logistics at a low cost. So live streaming typically would be the best way to go rather than end-of-day upload, download. Do you trust Microsoft personally from a business standpoint? Do you think it's a legitimate company to get involved in this industry?
Oh, yeah. I think that is a true sign of how mainstream it's going to become here. And so every time a big company like that gets involved, a lot of people that were not paying attention are suddenly paying attention.
Well, there you go. We'll have to keep an eye on that, because I believe Microsoft is probably the first big known company to make a step into this industry as a big known company. Even though they're not directly growing and selling, it's still a step into the industry. So we'll track that and see. Maybe you'll tell us one day you've switched over because they somehow got you. Speaking of POS systems, would you ever consider this dispensary interacting with Bitcoin as a form of payment?
So it's a cashless system.
Right.
I think that's appealing on some levels, but it's hard to sell the masses on it. Like, it's hard to get the following, I think, and it takes a champion within the company really to spearhead these things. And with so much going on, just trying to stay within the regulatory framework, it's hard to not think about that. But, that might alleviate some of that cash problem.
Yeah, and security of money issues, because, unless things have changed, you still can't take your money to a Dank recreational bank account, correct? And deposit your money into a Dank medical recreational bank account. It has to be a non-cannabis related type account, which is also what Bitcoin works around.
Yeah, we have a bank. There's a few banks out there that we do business with, so we move our cash offsite super quickly, and that's one of the security measures that we've put in place here to safeguard our employees as well as the cash on hand. We have a bank account, so we're writing checks. I remember when we were counting payroll and cash, and that was the biggest problem. But it was also a vulnerable kind of day when you're doing payroll.
Oh, yeah. It's like a construction site, right? Mm-hmm. And end of Friday, it was the cash. Everybody coming off that construction site, getting paid in cash under a table. Cool, man. That was a good long update. There's a lot of stuff there I can use. That was excellent. You want to do a little out?
This is Jay Griffin with Dank, Colorado. Thanks for listening. Please join us for Ganja Yoga every Thursday at Twisted at Denver Consulting Group.
Excellent. There you go. Want to talk shit about anybody else before we go or anything? That's all I got for you this week, Canapreneurs. Thank you for listening in, and thank you to everybody that's been supporting this community over the years. Keep following us after the show on all the social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Massroots. We're out there. You can find us just about anywhere, even YouTube. So make sure to come back next week and join us for another show where we'll be discussing more topics, interviewing more guests, and this is getting bigger because of you. We'll see you next week. Come on,